Another week means it is time for another championship Sunday, but this one just feels a little bit more special than most. A major championship, any win in the career of any athlete, especially golfers, is a big deal, but especially the majors, they just feel that much more special, especially in Hong Ji-young's case, where she could become not only a first-time winner, but a major champion. Taking a look through the leaderboard, as you can see, things have not gotten easier. Jade Palace has been more than an incredible and tough host to this event, but it is testing to an extreme degree the best in the entire country. Hong Ji-yeon, our leader, is only at even par. Last year, when Lee Dae-yeon won at this event, she won with a 19 over. The rough was allowed to grow a little bit more, the fairways were narrowed, and the greens have been playing incredibly difficult. This is a war of attrition, this is a war amongst peers, and most importantly, it is a battle to keep composure and to keep everything at the top of each player's games as they try and do battle to become the champion of the Hanwha Classic here in 2022. We started this event with 120 people. Only 62 made the cut. And really, as we open this event, there is just one favorite. It would take some kind of a remarkable push down the stretch. We are seeing some low rounds today, which we did not see yesterday. Sheen, as she returns to her native country where she was born. She grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, plays a lot on the LPGA Tour. She's back competing on the KLPGA. She is 3 under for the day, playing on the 17th hole. That takes her up to 8 over, but 8 strokes back. Hong Ji-yeon is our leader. It was a 71 in round 1, a 72 on Friday. Yesterday she went 2 over to just finish the day above par. And today, she is 1 under, so she's still even. But most importantly, as she nears the turn, she has a 6-stroke advantage. Well, here we go then. The SBS Golf Crew, they certainly will have their say on what should be a very fun finish to this event. We are definitely looking forward to it. And as it did yesterday, the conditions actually are better than they were forecasted to be. We're expecting mostly cloudy skies, limited visibility. Not the case. Sunny, 25 degrees, and next to no wind here at the Jade Palace. Let's begin our coverage on the 9th green. This is Pungmin Ji. She is 7 strokes off the pace, but a birdie here would take her into a tie for 2nd position. Starts it to the inside of the hole, and it gets wedged by the stick. That is now 3 birdies in her last 4 holes. If not for that double bogey on the par 3, well, she would be cruising in 2nd position. She did have that little bobble, so it is just a tie for the runner-up, but that is a big-time momentum-building birdie. Let's go to 10. Cho Ah-yeon for birdie. Also can move to 6 over. Putting this from the fringe. A little right to left was what she was hoping for, but it breaks in the opposite direction. So there will be no birdie for the player with the pink ball out on tour. I will say our attention is rightfully focused here at Jade Palace. There are, of course, other events across the world, as there always is on the LPGA Tour. There are 2 Koreans tied for the lead at the CP Women's Open in my home country of Canada, just about 4 hours down the road from where I'm broadcasting this to you tonight. That is Ji and Anna Lim, both tied at 16 under. Good week all around. The Koreans once again showing why they produce some of the best golfers from around the globe. That is the leader, looking for her first ever title. Approach down onto the green at the 9th. Next up will be Chung Yoon-ji, a 77 yesterday after she went 5 under in round 2. She is 7 over through 8. This is her approach shot. The pin today almost exactly in the middle of this green. This approach slightly towards the right side, maybe a little bit more than slightly away from the fringe, but in a tricky spot where she's going to need to start this putt to her right, up the hill, knowing that it's going to break back down. And Song will be next. She was 2 over through 8, a 76 for her yesterday. Tied for second position, they're going to need 3 or 4 birdies and hope that the leader cannot keep her nerve. Oh, that's a remarkable approach. Backspin prevents it from moving any further towards the hole, but she's on in a very good location. There is 1.4 billion won up for grabs in the combined tournament purse, with 252 million of that set aside for the winner. We are in the dog days of summer. We are in to the final 14 events of the year. The purses increase, the pressure increases. Here on our 3rd major of the season. This is Kim Ji Hyun. Takes a pretty significant divot with her. Might just roll back down this hill, you know. But it also is taking her closer to the fringe. All things said, that's about 4.5 to 5 meters away from a birdie. Looking up into the mountains here, and Chuncheon-si, Gangwon-do province. The northeastern portion of the country. We do have 2 previous champions who had qualified and made the cut. Park Jae-eun, who is in the field but down significantly. A plus 23, that is the 2nd highest score of anyone who made the cut. And we also have Ji Hyun in the field. She's inside of the top 15. She's 2 under for the day as well here. Arrived at the green at 9. Hong Jian will be first to putt for birdie. It is a 10.6 meter putt. Should come back towards the middle of your screen with the break. Starts it up high. Watching this come in. It is a formidable putt to set up a par. with a roar of a make from just across the course, which I'm sure we will see momentarily. We are watching the efforts from just off the green. That finishes nice and close to the cup. That is a great bit of short game play. Ji, we said, needs to start it on the opposite side of the break. She does very well with this incredibly difficult putt. Just a short tap in away from a par. To 11. I love that maybe 5-meter radius for a fairway just before the green. Says a lot about how difficult this course is this week. Oh, look at this up, just moves to the right. Had that stayed straight for another split second. She might have been able to keep that. Right in line with the stick and enough to get it to fall, but she'll have to think about par instead. Now Hamin Song. Look at this, just enough. Prevents another bogey. She is out 2 over with a 38. Just stops up shy. She stands up in some disbelief. Ji Hyun just a par now, 4 consecutive for her on the day. It's just the tap in, short par, and this is the situation for Hong Ji-yeon. She has 8 holes to play. She could probably bogey 4 times and still have this win, depending on how many birdies Min-ji and company can amass. But she is most definitely the favorite to hold out for the title. Back-to-back pars now for Chung Yoon-ji, who goes out with a 39 here and is at the turn, is 7 back. Now So Hyun. She is 2 over for the day. Well, she was until that birdie, her second. She starts the round with a bird, and she starts the back 9 with 1 as well. We'll go to 11. Kim Ji-yeon 2, who had been in our featured group yesterday. Had a difficult day, to put it mildly. Unfortunately, took her out of the race. It was an 80 in the 3rd round. She was lacking moments like that. Now, back-to-back birdies. She had gone out with a 41, 5 over. She has been able to make up 2 of those strokes on the East course already. She can continue to put together some efforts like that. Top 5 finish isn't that outlandish to think might be possible. And rightfully celebrating a nice conversion there. It was a 72, even par after the first set of 18 holes, a 71 on Friday. And even if she could have shot a 74 yesterday, she would be right in the hunt here. But unfortunately, one round had cost her. That has rolled in well from Ji Hyun. Back-to-back pars to open the back 9, 5 in a row since she doubled up with birdies. Tidy little stretch in the middle of her round. That's going to get a brilliant carry ever closer. Ji saying, hey, remember me? As if we could possibly forget about one of the best in the country, certainly one of the best on tour. And despite only playing 13 events this season, she is 4th in the LFASI's point standings, though she trails Ji Hyun by about 2,000 points. Nobody in the top 5 moved up or down after last week. The big move, that is, came from Kim Soo-ji, up 2 spots to 6th. Lee So-mi and Lee Ga-young both dropping 1 spot after the 19th event of the year. You can guess who the top 5 will be at the end of every month. Go to lfpoint.golf.sbs.co.kr/check to enter into the competition. What makes this current score all the more impressive, Hong Ji-yeon has just made 1 fairway in regulation. Everybody's FIR totals are going to take a pretty significant hit. That is how narrow, and it's not an exaggeration. And it's not just that the fairways are narrow, it's that the rough on either side of them is so thick that it's unforgiving. That is where a lot of the drop strokes come from. You have to be putting, without exaggerating, the best level of your career, essentially, top of your game, to be able to salvage the pars when you're not finding the fairway. Ji Hyun, however, starts the back 9 by making just her 2nd fairway in regulation. This approach from the fairway lands within 3 meters. Rolls to about 5 past the hole. Take nothing away. She earned that opportunity from finding the fairway off the tee. Long way away. Should be a little right to left at the end. But from this distance, any little variation from the path from where the putt is started increasingly costly. It's 10.4 meters to be precise for Kim Soo-ji as she looks to start her back nine with a birdie. Also significantly downhill. Even though she's just grazed that ball. That's how much roll it has past target. This trio has teed off. They're just waiting their turn. Gentle power up, knowing there's still 9 more holes to go. And now ENG will be the next 2-putt. She will be starting this from the fringe, and she has the opposite conundrum of Kim Soo-ji, in that not only is it uphill, but with where she is starting this putt, has to give this a pretty good whack. Starting this to the inside of the cup, I believe, as well. Makes its way back over. Good effort, but it's not going to show on the scorecard. It is a tap-in par, just her 3rd of the day, now through 10 holes in her final round. We've seen the younger supporters, quite the school trip this is to head on out to the Jade Palace and take in a pretty incredible tournament. Downhill putts to an uphill effort to save par for Kim Soo-ji. If she is offline, she drops out of a share for 2nd position. Thought she had it, just carried a bit too much speed. She was cognizant of it, knowing that she needed to add a little bit more, decided to keep the flag in. Does cost her a stroke. Her 2nd bogey of the day, drops over par once again. Depending on how things go at the top, she needs 7 birdies in her last 8 holes to have any kind of chance. Ji, remember her effort to set this up was from off the birdie, and she has a 3rd consecutive birdie. 4 in her last 5 holes, and maybe for Hong Ji-yeon, who was waiting patiently before making her way down to the 10th fairway, might just be thinking, maybe a good thing I'm not sharing a group with her today, because when the birdies are being made in front of you, it definitely can add to the pressure. After patiently waiting, Hamin Song is ready to go. She is electing to choose the hybrid to tee this off. Pensive as she watches that down. I think she's decided that it should work out just fine. It's the rough. Wish I could give you a better answer than that. Perhaps this is why they had been waiting so long. ENG has driver in hand. It is downhill. Stranger things have happened than reaching the green in one. Confidence as she steps out of that follow through. My goodness. She did try and reach, but she comes up short, and I think that might just be sandbagged. She's at the point in the tournament where she can be a little bit more aggressive. That is indeed why they decided to wait. Waves to her young supporters. Ji Hyun had teed off about 5 minutes ago, honestly, at this point. Hamin Song was next, and they were just waiting with Chung Yoon-ji telling everybody, I'm going to try and reach. So collectively, they made the decision together to wait a couple of extra minutes. Now, the risk that Chung Yoon-ji took is that if she is in that bunker, we've seen how stiff and how steep the exits can be. If there was anyone in the field this far back that would have an opportunity, I'd say she would count as one of the book's favorites. That time the driver slightly lets her down. As we go to 18 with Park Ji-young. She is 8 back of the lead in a tie for 7th position. It's 109 meters to go. She's been very good in her greens in regulation today, 88%. She is 4 under for the day, which I believe is the lowest score of anyone out on course. Well, somewhere hidden in that rough is a pink golf ball. Cho Hyun found the thick stuff after her second shot on the par 5. It's still 101 meters to go. Aided a little bit by the fact that it is a downhill approach. Needs this to stop, but it looks like it's going to roll all the way to the rough. Not even the fringe could slow her down. Now an uphill putt right to left, but too much break. It prevents her from holing out, so it takes 2 putts, and the rookie Moon Jung-min reaches 17 over par. She is 10 over for the day, down 31 position. She was in a tie for 7th to start the day. Hamin Song, 77-meter approach. She's trying to use the fringe as a break. Doesn't get enough of it, and she'll roll to the back. Now it will be Hong Ji-young's turn at long last. 74 meters is it. Probably a 60-degree here. She finds an apex at 25 meters. Nice and tidy. It finally stops. No, okay, now we've reached a standstill. She will have a look at birdie. And any stroke she can pick up on the way in will do plenty to pad her advantage. I'm Very curious to see the results of this. ENG walking down to the front of the green just to see where perhaps she might like to try and land this shot. Taking one final practice swing before descending down into the sand. And this is the best representation possible. Needs to come up, will play the highest lofted club she has and open it to the nth degree. She escapes, turns her back knowing that the sand was about to blow into her face, and when she finally sees where she put that, she will be very, very impressed, as she should be. Tried to reach into, comes up short, and escapes from the sand expertly. Tries to reach in one, excuse me, so she still has that for a birdie. The birdie would take her into a tie for third with Ha-Min Sung. Pungmin Ji all of a sudden, 1 under for the day, into sole possession of second, 5 back. You never know. Might just be a second challenger. Majors aren't supposed to be simple. And that's what it's shaping up to be. Quite a good race to the finish line. We'll take a quick break and return to Jade Palace shortly. The final round, Championship Sunday at the Hanwha Classic. Well, it's an absolutely perfect day for a championship Sunday. Weather-wise, Mother Nature won't play a role in deciding a champion. It will be all up to the 62 players on the course. Realistically, we can say it's up to 3 for the title. I mean, Song would be one of them. She has the most holes, and she is relatively close within 6. But she is going to need putts like that to drop if she wants any say in deciding who will win this championship. Ji Hyun trying to finish her day at 5 under. Even if it's a par, it will not take away from what she was able to put together. The 68 is one of the lowest rounds of the entire week. Ji Hyun never had one. So Hyun too. She was the outright leader after the first hole. She only had a 69. I think it is pipped only, if memory serves, by the 67 that we saw from Ji in round number 2. Taps in for her par. A 68 finishes at 296 and should be feeling very good about finishing inside of the top 10. "13 putts today through 9 holes. That is an average of 1.44 per hole. Not a simple putt. An outside look at birdie, but a look at birdie nevertheless. Needed it to break more. So it is a relatively uneventful 2-putt par. Maintains the advantage at 5 with 8 holes to play. Ji, we will of course be watching her with a very close eye as she tries to throw her name back into the ring. She's able to escape from the rough, get through another patch, roll down the fringe, and find herself on the green with a look at birdie. This, even for her, would be pretty incredible despite how well she has putt in this 4th round. Choi Hyun is next. This is a little pitch up from the rough. You can hear her caddy begging the ball to stop. The remarkable thing about that, another example of how quick these greens are playing, she intentionally hit that thick well before the ball, trying to take some of the speed off, and still it just lurched forward. Back with Hamin Song. It's about a 2-footer for par. Just a little left to right. Tough to judge a break when it's that close, but she is able to card her 4th par in a row to keep herself at 6 over. Ji, this might be the most exciting par of the day, to be honest. Driver off the blocks, down into the sand in a miserable lie. Escaped to within a couple of feet. Doesn't need to do much with the putter. So she finally has her birdie. She could have missed that putt and had just a simple par finish, but she is rewarded for being brave and moves into a tie for 3rd as well. This is Kim Ji-young too, looking for a birdie. She too will have one. 3 in a row as well. Moves her level with Im Jini and Yoo-hae Ran in equal footing for 9th position. Now Pungmin Ji. At this point, she makes this birdie, and I'm convinced we're heading at least to a playoff. It is that low percentage. Oh, it comes close, doesn't it? At some point, the run had to end. And you'd have to think that driving into the rough had a big say in how her score on this hole was decided. Taps in for a par. She'll have 7 more holes to make up 5 strokes. She will focus on controlling what she can control. If she can get to even 2 over with 3 more birdies on the way in, you never know what will happen atop. Ji Hyun has never won an event before. You know the nerves will sink in at some point. Choi An. Oh, that dropped to the inside far too early for that to have any chance. She is a 2-time winner this season. She won the 8th Kyochun Honey Ladies Open back in May. She also won the Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic, the final event in July. Over to 11, Chung Yoon Ji, a practice swing. Looking to just gradually fade this around the tree line. Pretty intense dogleg right this par 4 11. 393 meters is its distance. It is the longest par 4 on course. Needs it to stop. That's a perfectly executed drive. She's got a little bit of that quiet swagger back after her birdie. Ji Hyun is next, looking to go back-to-back in terms of her fairways in regulation. Nearly meets the sprinkler head, but she is there. Well, perfect 3 for 3. Very impressive considering how fine the margins are down the hill from the tee blocks. Now Peng Min-ji, this is her drive at the 12th. We'll have a very clear straight look down. Final event in the month of August. Our September calendar will begin next week with the 11th KG E-Daily Ladies Open at Sunning Point. Just a 3-dayer. We're due for one. It's been a lot of 4-round events the past month. From there, we will head to the Orange Dunes Yeongjong course for the El Crew TV Chosun Pro Celebrity 2022. Always curious to see who will rock up to that event. And then after that, just 2, don't want to call them regular events, don't want to diminish them, but we will be back to a major, what I'm trying to say. In just a few weeks, the KB Financial Group Star Championship at Blackstone Ichun. And the OK Savings Bank Sayri Pak Invitational at Serenity Country Club. And then an event that will start in September and end in October. It is a big one, the Hanwha Financial Group Championship. 1.5 billion won up for grabs. That even takes the cake from this event, which is a very high purse. ball can bite, good things can happen. It doesn't, however. All the way down towards the back quarter it goes. Is a view of every tee shot and what they turned into. Only 11 birdies here today at 11. That seems fitting. 33 pars and 15 bogeys or higher. Only 57% of the field was able to find the fairway off the tee. Now we see home Ji Hyun's approach. At a sharp angle and stops up with plenty of work still to be done. She was 219 meters off the tee. Hamin Song, the longest drive, 224, leaving her with just 129. She's the only one of the three, despite being the longest drive, to fail to reach the green. Now Kim Ji-young too, again going with this 4-iron. We don't often see it, but with a long course like this one, makes sense why this will turn into many players' bags.
Okay.
She's able to reach the green, but heads all the way towards the back fringe. Will be benefiting slightly from that bowl-style topography of this green, where it rolls back closer to the pin. The approach from Peng Min-ji. Song, has already reached her ball. Well, this is a really good looking chip. She played that about as well as she could and did not end up missing by much. Kima Reem had won the first major of the season. Chris FNC presenting the 44th KLPGA Championship. She had a 70 in the final round. Then it was Im Hee Jung at the DB Group 36th Korea Women Open Golf Championship and 19 under. Yoon-ji hoping for a little bit of magic. And she is the owner. I mean, we can still call it a proud owner. It's a bizarre stat to have, but it still resulted in a win. but her 8 under through 3 rounds at the 10th E1 Charity Open was the highest score to win an event this season. Second place was Chang Soo-yeon, who won the opener. The Rotate Rent-A-Car Ladies Open with a 9 under score. It is entirely possible that the winner here will be over par. It's Choi-yeon. Who was 14 under and 12 under in both of her wins this year. Remarkably, both of those were 3-round events. That's how low she was able to shoot. Played that nice and close. Still even at 8 over par with a tap-in finish. Now Hong Ji-yeon. One or two of these, that's all it will take on the way in, would secure a victory. It's starting back. Oh, if it was just a little bit quicker. She will settle for a 4 once again. Feels a little bit better knowing where she is in the standings. The par 5 will be next. That is where we find Peng Min-ji, and unfortunately for her, again, it is from the thick rough, just trying to blast this out. She lands on the green, and it is a pin placement today that will make that an okay result. Not quite pin high, but definitely in the area of the putting surface where she needed to be. It's a good recovery. Now Hamin Song, the second to last player to finish here at 11, needs this to save a par. Nicely done. Razor thin margins, as she, I'm sure, knows that she just escaped. Now over to 14. This is Chung Hee-yeon. Bounces once and twice towards the front. She's going to get a great roll close. Chung Hee-yeon will be more than satisfied with that. Now Im-Gini at 12. This 80 to 90 meter range usually results in a 3.5 meter putt. She's on it again. Good shot is right. Well, it would be another remarkable birdie if it was there, but Kim Ji-young narrowly misses. She's been exceptional in this final round, but even that was a little bit too much to ask. Still carrying the honor after birdieing the 10th. Chung Yoon-ji will be the first to drive here at the 12th. Over the water towards the fairway. Pars in the second and third rounds. She's yet to birdie it here, and she won't be doing it in the final round. She had raised her right hand, pointing that that is offline. It's a bit of a slice. Ji-yeon will be the next. All pars except for the birdie at the 7th. She birdied here in round 2, otherwise 2 pars. Will say that after the 14th, she has struggled with the final 4 holes. Could make for a little bit extra drama towards the end. This looks like a great drive. Will just roll into the second cut, but avoids the nasty, thick grass. Just a couple of inches further away from the fairway. Now a blast from Hamin Song. She will nestle that ball in just behind of Chung Yoon-ji. You could see that little white flag. I'll tell you, there's so many people watching this, I assure you, that are thinking, oh, if only I had someone to mark where my ball went into the rough. It'd save a lot of searches and probably a lot of lost golf balls. I know I certainly would appreciate it. Now Peng Min-ji, another look at birdie. Impressive that she's even in this position. She's going to miss it though, and to the outside. Just started to kick away a second or two early. She'll tap in for another par. Keeps herself in second position. That's how fine the margins are. She has come within a foot the last two holes, and 3 back certainly feels a lot different than 5. As we go to 14. It was a great approach from Chung Hyun. Can she capitalize now and record a birdie? Yes, just. Her 4th of the day. She's now under par for the round. 1 under towards the final third of her championship Sunday. And now Kim Soo-ji. The supporters knew it, she knew it. She had started it online, her first birdie since the 5th, and breaks that run of back-to-back bogeys with a very nice finish. There's no doubt it is a little slow, the stretch of holes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It definitely picks up in tempo from here. Won't see another par 5 until the very last of the round. Ji Hyun just stepping out. Don't want to diminish how difficult this is. I mean, we can see it just by looking down at how narrow the fairway is from here, but the ball's just above her feet in the rough. Contact is going to be key here. It's a worm burner, very low loft just across. It does find the fairway, but it doesn't get as close as she would have been striving for. We'll make for an interesting approach shot with her next. I mean, Jeannie at 12. Nine over at the moment. A chance to move into a tie for 6th, and she's got that there. Her 3rd birdie of the day. She is now just 2 over par for the round. And the first of 2 blasts out of the rough. This should be a hybrid for Chung Yoon-ji. She's 253 back. Some players wouldn't even consider taking this club out from this lie. Chung Yoon-ji is not one of those players. It's another one that's very low lofted. She clearly favors the control. She knows that she can keep it straight with that club. Was never going to get it high. Was never going to get it that deep. Plus there's those sand traps to be mindful of as well. Hamin Song, she does go for an iron. She will be the closest to the hole of the lot with that effort. The Lotte sponsored athlete, her Lotte teammate, Iso Young, is on the 17th hole at 13 over par. And they were the only two to make the cut. I have a couple of NH Investment and Security sponsored athletes in Pengmin Ji and Chung Yoon Ji inside the top three at 5 and 6 over respectively. They are the only hope in terms of people who could dethrone Hong Jian. We'll take a quick break and be back to Jade Palace to wrap up hole number 12 with our featured group and also check in with Pengmin Ji. Welcome back. Just past 2 p.m. local time here at the Jade Palace. Chung Yoon Ji's approach. Well, it started to head towards the cart path. Should have just stayed in the rough before it, but that is going to make for an interesting third shot up onto the green. Our first par 3 of the back 9, Pengmin Ji going with hybrid. 176, almost an identical yardage to the 7th hole. Sends it towards the right, and the pin today, well, it is at the back, but it is in the middle. 11 yards off of that final slope. She'll get a little bit of momentum back towards the center, but it will stay put right there. Ji Hyun up. Oh, look at that. A little bit of brilliance. Well, that is the bar that Hamin Song will try to meet. Doesn't get enough of a roll towards the back. It will hit that slope and bail towards the fringe. Well, as it stands, Peng Min-ji is going to very much pad this lead that she has been able to amass in the money list by a pretty significant margin. Yuhei Ran did make the final round. She is still in the hunt. Well, maybe not in the hunt, but she is still out there. Just outside of the top 10, so it'll be a decent haul of points for her. Park Ji-young, who was third in the money, she will have a good finish. She is currently in a tie for 6th position and 105 points back of Yuhei Ran. She will at least narrow that deficit to double digits again, unless she is surpassed with Peng Min-ji, which is a possibility considering she is in sole possession of 2nd. Well, my estimation of this just finding some grass before the cart path is correct. Very interesting to see how she plays it. It definitely dips from the middle towards the back and then comes right on back towards the middle. She stabs at it. Didn't have much play. And will go all the way to the fringe at the back left. Now Kim Soo-ji at 13. She too has just a little stab at the ball. About 3 meters, 2.5 maybe away. It's a decent up back towards the pin. Slightly under hit on the first putt from Hamin Song. Long way to go, and this is it with tons of pace. Thank goodness the flag was kept in. It on its own merits allows ENG to have back-to-back birdies now 4 on the day. And her line was perfect, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why sometimes it's better to keep the flag there. Without it, it's going right over the hole, and it's probably onto the fringe. It's an exceptional effort to take her into a tie for 5th with Kim Soo-ji. Now we return to our featured group. Chung Yun-ji electing not to putt this, but rather a chip. Too delicate though. Doesn't hit that nearly hard enough. How quickly this sport, and in particular this course, can take the wind out of your sails. Let's go back to 13. Pang Min-ji. An improbable look at birdie. Opportunity still technically on, but she is short and left. Ji Hyun, what an approach shot it was. She's been waiting for another birdie. It could happen right here. I don't dare say out of reach yet, but it is getting awfully close. Still a bogey-free round. And now 2 birdies picked up. She is back 2 under par, which in itself is more than impressive. Hamin Song, she has been able to salvage these pars on a regular basis this week. It will drop towards the bottom of your screen, and it drops into the bottom of the cup as well. You can make it 6 pars in a row. Speaking of the number 6, that is significant because that is the gap between the leader and Pang Min-ji. She had finished in a tie for 39th here last year. 73 in the final round. Was under par just twice, a 71 on Friday and Saturday in 2021. And it's a fixture of the calendar, but it still is very impressive to me when it is within a day to the year. Chung Yun-ji, her difficulties with the fringe, with the rough, costs her a bogey. And now we will take a gander, a view of the 13th. Looks straight, looks mostly uneventful. It is not quite that simple, however. 176 is the yardage, the first of 2 par 3s in a 3-hole window. You have the bunker to the front left, the bunker to the front right, and the pin placement 11 yards off the back, and in the exact center of the width, in a relatively forgiving set of slopes, if you can be accurate off the tee. If not, well, it is a little difficult, let's say, to try and do anything other than par. Fresh off of her birdie, Ji Hyun has the honor. It's a hybrid off the tee. She wasn't sure if she was going to avoid that sand. She does. And that will work out quite well. Like her odds to birdie from that position. Mohammed's song so far this week on 13. Bogey in the first round, 2 pars since then. And I think bogey might just be on the cards again as she is short on that tee shot and drops it into the sand trap. Ji, a bit of an overstated backswing. Heads left and rolls onto the fringe, about pin high, but not quite aligned. I'll tell you, it's a pretty good place to set yourself up and settle in for a day of golf just off of the back of the 18th green. They will definitely have a good vantage point of the eventual coronation of a champion. At the moment, it seems almost certain, almost being the operative word, that it will be Hong Ji Hyun. patrons roar their approval of that recovery shot from Hamin Song out of the sand. As we go back to 14, Pang Min-ji needs to start making some birdies to have any chance at this major championship. There aren't many events that she has not yet won. She has been that dominant the past few years. But with that definitive miss of the green at 14, you're almost ready to say this is it. Hong Jian, she's yet to bogey today. She's 2 under. That's a 6-stroke cushion. Might just be 7 depending on how Pang Min-ji is able to recover. 8 strokes on Chung Yun-ji. She has just been even. Very level-headed. Not overcomplicating, not being too risky. Making her putts. It's been a very good formula for success. We also, as we went through yesterday, were reminded just how much she loves Jade Palace in this event. The best results of her career was right here. And she is playing some very competent, very proficient golf. Was tied for 3rd last year. At the Hanwha Classic. And I think it might just be all but set in stone that she will be taking home the title here. Hamin Song, a bit disappointed with that putter as that was well off the line. She's the 134th ranked golfer in the world, a 1-time winner. Her 1 win came back in 2015. She came awfully close last year. Sole possession of 2nd at the 9th E1 Charity Open, a tie for runner-up this year, twice. The 10th E1 Charity Open and the Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic. She has 9 runner-up finishes in her career, including 3 in 2015. 32 top 10 finishes overall. Chung Yun-ji needs this to save par. Just the 1 win on her CV. The 10th E1 Charity Open. She was tied for 2nd earlier in the year at the 2022 NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship, which, as one of their sponsored athletes, undoubtedly was a big milestone for her. She is in the mix for a 3rd runner-up finish. With still so many events and so many victories to be had in her career. We'll go to 14 next with Kim Soo-ji playing her 3rd. Should be able to salvage a par from there after driving into the rough with her tee shot. Well, it was that close to another birdie. It is just a tap in for a 10th par on the day. Hamin Song, unfortunately, is going the opposite direction. Third bogey of the round, 4-6, and now here at 13. Takes her to 7 over. This is 15, Ji Hyun, electing to go with 7 iron. 3 over for the day. We have seen just 1 ace all weekend long. That was Ji Hyun 2 today. Much earlier in the round. We nearly had a second. As a guaranteed birdie. Well, that is Pungmin Ji level recovery. Couldn't even see her, knowing she was somewhere back by the cart path, and she gets it just a few short centimeters away. That is able to get down and onto the green, but it is just hugging the fringe. Genie on 14, a pitch up and very, very close to holding out. It will stop just outside the shadow of the flag, but should only need one putt to finalize this hole.
그거 하나 줘. 오케이.
Narrowly missing to the inside of the hole. Such a great shot to set up a par is unfortunately undone for the third bogey for the first 5 holes of her back 9. Reached the point in the round, in the weekend, in the major championship where even the shortest of putts get that little extra service of prep. Ginny trying to avoid a bogey and keep herself at 7 over. And unfortunately, that little bit of extra dedication and time does not result in Nice drop shot. Moon Jung-min, the rookie. She was just able to get onto the green and avoid the rough and the sand. Her first putt is short, and it has unfortunately been one of those days for her. Jenny Sheen trying to wrap up her event with a birdie. Starts down, climbs up. Unfortunately, it's a little outside. So she will tap in for a par and finish with 296 strokes in this event, level with Park Ji-young. Should be a top 10 finish when all is said and done and all of the dust has settled. Now Kim Ji Hyun on 15 starts this a long way to the outside. The break did come, and unfortunately just came a little bit too late. This is 14. 389 meter par 4. Another long one on the way in. Only 48% of the tee shots have found the fairway in regulation. Only 3 birdies today. That is 5% only. Min Song will be the first to play her second shot with hybrid in hand. Looks and sounds like clean contact, but we will have to wait to get our answer. Finds a bit of the rough, the fringe as well, takes a little bit of extra speed off of it. I think perhaps mindful of the tailwind, helping push that closer to the flag. The leader is next. Looks like an iron for her. Might have just topped that a little bit. Lost a fair bit of pace. Avoids the rough but cannot escape the fringe. And that leaves just Chung Yoon-ji to play her approach. Her black silhouette standing out in the rough. Lays up into the fairway. Now Pae-so Hyun on 15 with Pung Min-ji. Such a brilliant approach shot to set up a little tap in, and by approach, of course, I mean tee shot, with this being a par 3. It is her second birdie of the back 9. And right back to Chung Yoon-ji. You can see the volunteer, the marshal, the tour official gathering their flags as they're done. This is the last group to play through 14. That's better. Remarkable the difference the fairway can make when you have just about every bit of control over the results. It's down to the final 5 holes, and it is a 6-shot advantage. We won't crown her yet, but we are nearly there. It would take some kind of monumental calamity for Ji Hyun not to be winning her first title. But with Bang Min-ji chasing you down, you can't put the cart before the basket. Well, there's no doubt it is the best seat in the house. And from now, for the next hour, we will see plenty of players coming through and finalizing their rounds, having that last classification sorted out, and it is starting to feel inevitable that in that 60 to 75 minutes when Ji Hyun reaches the 18th green, that she will be securing the first win of her career on such a grand stage. She can par 80% of her final holes, even has room for a few bogeys at this point. And unfortunately, we can't rule a bogey out here. she will have that to try and save the par. The only player to be beneath par so far this week. Ji is the closest challenger. She has just 4 holes to go. Needs to basically birdie them all and get some help. Her tee shot on the par 3, the final of her tournament. Almost perfectly in the middle of this green, but with the slope, it is heading closer to the front. Song, that was her birdie effort. And Ginny also in this penultimate group. The mid-iron down towards target. Needs it to stop, and she has the opposite result as Pengmin Ji, though that is about 8 to 9 meters away from a bird. Jian needs this to avoid returning to even. It's got a chance if it's got that last bit of speed, but it stalls out short. So a bogey and even despite a valiant effort. Her first of the round, down to 4 holes though, and I don't think we'll wipe that smile off of her face. Nor should we. She's worked very, very hard to be in this position and feeling all the emotions that come with it. Kim Soo-ji will be the last to tee off at 15. Birdie here yesterday, otherwise pars through the first 2 rounds. If that stops anytime, it's an almost certain birdie. Brilliant tee shot, very well executed. Now Chung-Yun Ji needs this to avoid an identical fate to Hong Jian. She was convinced she had it. She was ready to celebrate, started the fist bump down, and then had to stop midway through as it just pops back out. The second bogey of her back 9, and now she has dropped out of 3rd into a tie for 5th with Kim Soo-ji, Jenny Sheen, and Park Ji-young. Now Hamin Song trying to find her par, just enough on it to get it there. She has less company now with that 7 over score after her groupmate's bogey. Now Park Hyun-kyung on 18. She's 16 over for the tournament. The day has gotten away from her. A 78, which is equal for her highest round, depending on how this goes. It was always too much to ask to convert on that. That would have been some Jack Nicklaus level putting. So she will mark off, but it will be her 304th and should be final putt of the event. Down 11 spots from where she had started the day in a tie for 26th. As we go off the green and see a very impressive hole out from Kim Ji-young 2, her 4th birdie of the back 9. And now inside the top 10. That is a near impossible shot that she is able to cash in on. Now Pacquiao also on 18. This would propel her to 14 over to finish with a 302 combined tournament score and a 76 in the final round. Not impossible, but it will take perfect execution. This is starting on line, needs to come back right. It does! Great birdie to finish the event. That last little kick. Only 3 birdies on the day. So be slightly disappointed with a 4 over, but she will be elated with how she finished. Brilliant putt. This is inching ever closer as well, but it is short. And with every missed birdie, the probability increases 4 on Ji Hyun. More on 18. What a group this is, by the way. Pacquiao, Park Hyung-kyung, and Im Hee-jung. Oof. 3 bona fide superstars. Above the hole, a little tap. Even that little tap is enough to take it level and over the cup. She finished with a 76, her 2nd lowest of the round. Plus 14 is the combined tournament score. Imjini. 4.5 meters for birdie. She's willing it there, and it does drop. Excellent execution. 3 birdies in her last 4, and to 7 over she goes as well. Impressive from that perspective as well. And now this, the par effort. Less than a meter. And tournament concluded for Park Hyung-kyung, excuse me. Unfortunately matches her highest round of the week. Still no one can take away the 2 major championships she already has with her 2 Chris FNC KLPGA championships. A brilliant finish, and that particular group of supporters is growing. Only 3 holes remain for Kim Soo-ji. Let's take a look at 15 now, shall we? Another par 3, the last of the tournament, over the very prominent water feature. And then 3 distinct bunkers in a triangular shape on the perimeter of the green. But the targets, well, it is at the back. Back left, a little bit long is okay so long as you stay on the green. Chung Eun-ji, the The only member of this group not to find a birdie here so far is Hamin Song with 6 iron. Will land in a great spot, roll ever closer. It's about a 6-meter putt for birdie.
내가 벙커 없다 생각하고 치면 조금 짧더라도 그게 낫거든. 다 치는 거야. 오케이. 천천히 생각 정리하고.
막진 않죠?
편하게 쳐.
Well, it just goes to show that the form table doesn't always predict how tournaments will go. Because for Hong Ji-yeon, 2 consecutive missed cuts before this event. But she's just had this touch and feel for the Jade Palace that is completely unmatched, and she's not feeling any of the pressure, nor should she. There is a level that she has reached that is, well, if you could bottle it up and sell it to the average athlete, the average golfer, it would make millions, if not billions. Just confident, even-keeled, and executing. Down to the final 4 holes, now Chung Eun-ji. Looking for a bounce back. She was tied for 3rd for quite some time, but a bogey has dropped her into 6th. And a little bit long on that tee shot as well.
플레이하겠습니다. 좀만 멈춰주세요.
We'll go to 17 next with Kim Ji-young 2 playing 8 iron. A little bit too much distance. Appropriate level of backspin, but it's a bit deeper than what is mathematically a good look at birdie. Choi on next. That's, if you could combine those 2 shots with the speed with which Kim Ji-young 2's met the green and the distance where Choi Yeon was able to reach, you would have almost a guaranteed birdie. But that is the fine margins that comprise this wonderful sport. Nothing is ever simple, which makes the victor look all the more impressive every single time. Next up to bat, Chung Eun-ji. An outside look at birdie. This is a big mover. She just powers that too much. She knew exactly what that position of the green would do in terms of break. It is just unfortunately a little bit overhead. And now to 16. Ji, she's just off the fairway, but into the kinder portion of the rough. 136 and 7 meters above the hole. Caught that too pure into the rough once again. The first putt at 15 will belong to Hamin Song. This is for birdie. 4.4 meters, slightly downhill, just a little nudge. Narrow miss to its outside, and she reacts as you might expect. Exasperation, slight disbelief. She thought she hit that perfectly, and she nearly did. Still no birdies on the round with just 3 to go. And on the second to last hole, Kim Ji Hyun 2, it is 7.8 meters from up the hill. Plays it so cautiously and so well. Just stays east of the hole and avoids that bird. She'll tap in and will carry that 9-over score to the last. Well, that is pretty much the perfect representation of how this tournament has gone for her. A mid-range birdie to go back under par. That putter has been something else this week. One under she goes, and the cushion, the advantage, the lead, pick your synonym, is back to 6 with just 3 holes to play. Chung Yoon Ji, this is for her par. Little tap, goes all the way around the cup, but it does drop in the end. Choyan starts this above the hole, just runs out of speed. So close. What a good effort that was. We are down to just 3 holes. 2 of them will be par 4s and a par 5 to wrap up this tournament. This is 16, another dogleg right. We love those here at Jade Palace, don't we? 140 meters just as the fairway opens up. And then another uphill climb towards the green, over 2 distinct sand traps. With a pin today, basically in the middle of the width, 11 meters off of the right, 13 meters off of the back. And in terms of the difficulty of greens, this one is on the lower side of the spectrum, at least in terms of where the pin placement is today. It's relatively kind, relatively forgiving, but it is all set up by the drives. Jian, I mean, yeah, we know, but if she pars here, we will be certain. Par will become a bit more challenging, admittedly. Just fades a little bit too much into the rough as she tries to round the corner of the dogleg.
굿!
The next drive is a good one, finds the fairway. Pungmin Ji not in nearly as forgiving a lie. Well, it was a valiant final round. It's not over yet, but we know at this point that it's going to just come up short. And again, we don't play for the money here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. No sport does, really. It's a way to make a living, we know that. But it is about the sport, the competition, the battle. Having said that, for Pungmin Ji, it will still be another very good payday when the dust settles. Well, from a while back, it's a decent up to set up just a little tap in. It's notable, in my opinion, to go through the distribution chart in terms of the purse. Again, 252 for the winner, 154 for runner-up, 112 for P3, 70 million for P4, 56, 49, 42, 35, 28, and even 10th gets 21 million won. That is why even though you may be out of the race for the championship, every single putt, every single chip is magnified in the final round. This is ENG on 16. From the back, she's really working through these practice swings. And she knows how slim the margins are, how fine they are. In terms of a good shot to set up a par and a miss hit that can cost you a bogey, if not two. That unfortunately lands in the latter column. Sheen on 16 now after her short-changed effort out of the rough. It is slightly to the inside, and it will be a bogey here. Now Pungmin Ji walks that one in. 2 holes to play, 5 over. Still sole possession of the runner-up position. And Kim Soo-ji. Kim Soo-ji just taps that in. Still one over for the day, and now green light for Ha Min-sung. This is the approach. Overemphasized, and with a result like that, take your time. South head backswing. Chung Yoon-ji is next. It's 136 from a great spot on the fairway. Middle right is where she would like to head. That's going to get a great kick. Brilliant. Fantastic. Near perfect. Not much separating her and a birdie. Now Hung Ji-yeon, 100 meters to the centimeter. Ball slightly beneath her feet. It's heading right to left. It's a little bit under hit, but two-putt par on the menu. We're getting closer, aren't we, to 18? Only a few groups still out on course, and we are in formality territory. Hung Ji-yeon, quite the comfortable advantage. This might go down as the most impressive victory of the season, and I don't say that lightly. It is just Kim Ji-young 2, Cho Ayan, No Seung-hee on 18, right in front of our patrons. We'll see Moon Jung-min, Pae So-yeon, Kim Ji Hyun, followed by Kim Soo-ji, Bang Min-ji, Im Ji-ni, and then the main event, Hong Ji-yeon, Chung Yoon-ji, and Ha Min-sung. About 30 minutes away, maybe a little bit less, to crowning a champion here at the Hanwha Classic 2022. we are on 16 with our leader. Par would be great. Bogey would not be the end of the world. That's awfully close. She will be dropping back to even. The gap will shrink narrowly to 5. But there is just 2 holes to play. She went out with a 35. And she is pretty close to even on the way back in. As we say good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. My name is Adam Jenkins. Appreciate you having us along. We know that this is a tour that has supporters from across the globe. Grateful to have you tuning in to this major championship on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Whether you're watching at home on TV, joining us on the SBS Golf YouTube channel. If you are, drop us a comment. Where are you watching from? Like and subscribe, of course, for all the best content from this fantastic tour. This is 16 with Hamin Song. We are in the final classification stages. With tens of millions of won up for grabs, depending on where the final result is. That is an emphatic display of emotion from Hamin Song, who finally has a birdie today. She has been oh so close on so many occasions, and she finally has it. And well, she knows it won't be a victory. She will feel very good about the fact she is now in sole possession of third. Ji also a birdie. Her second of the back 9, only her second of the round. Now the second shot on the final par 4 of the day for Pungmin Ji. She asked it to sit. That would be why. She knew that was carrying a ton of speed. Makes the front third and rolls all the way into the rough. And now 18 with Kim Ji-young 2 for birdie. It's 3.5 meters. On the left side of this green, on line, but just stays out to its inside. Tap in to finish with consecutive pars, 9 over, in sole possession of 9th. And she will be ruining that 8 over round she had yesterday. Otherwise, an even par round, 1 under, and then a 74 to wrap up the tournament. Now Kim Soo-ji just on the fairway from its right side. She too is going to be asking for it to sit. Works out pretty well. It'll be downhill back towards the middle. And speaking of 17, this is what it looks like from start to finish. A 372-meter par 4, a dogleg left. This time up the hill from the box to the fairway. There's 2 sand traps by the tree line, by the cliff. You do not want to be hooking it that badly, otherwise it will be definitely penalty territory. And then from there, 2 sand traps before that last little fairway. Then the bunker just as the green begins. The pin today, it is at the back right, 7 yards from its right edge, and just 9 yards from its back into that stitch of green. But some movement towards that back as it drops in towards the fringe and the bordering rough. Hamin Song, after that birdie, will be the first to tee off 67%. The fairways in regulation. Well, that has gone right, out to meet it with a marker, but in the very, very thick rough. It's now Ji Hyun. On pace for consecutive rounds of 75 if she can hold this out to stay in a tie for a top 10 finish. Just avoids it. Tap in to drop her level with Ijumi, No Sungi, and Lee So-young, a 76, her second highest score of the week. Only one par here this week. Bogey yesterday, a bogey on Thursday as well for Hung Ji-yeon. Mentioned it earlier, worth repeating that these final few holes have given her a few headaches relative to the degree of simplicity that she has played most of the rest of the course. From 15 on, 6 bogeys, just the 1 birdie. Yesterday she bogeyed 17 and 18 to finish the round. She could still do that today, and it probably would still be enough. Pang Min-ji would need to hold this out, which, as you might expect from that thick of a rough off the green, nearly impossible. I think a second place finish is still very much in the cards. But she won't be able to add this tournament to her championship resume. Every time you say it out loud, 13 wins in her career is pretty remarkable for Pang Min-ji, including 3 this year, 6 in 2021. Her first coming all the way back in 2017. She was in the infancy of her career, showing everyone glimpses of what was to come. Imjini, this is for par at 17. She has the line, but it is slightly soft. So that will be a bogey. Down to 9 over with Kim Ji Young 2 and a tie for 8th position now. So we head back to 17 with Ha-min Song, also out of the rough. Trying to muscle that back to the fairway. Needs just about every available meter of its width as that was headed left. Suji can get to 6 over. It's a little late push. Right to left, downhill. There has been some magic in this putter throughout the week, and fortunately for her, not to be found on this second to last green. So she will have tapped in and exited. So Hong Ji-yeon has the go-ahead. Avoided the sand.
괜찮아, 지원아.
Goes rough to rough. Chung Yun-ji also in a similar position. Close to the sand and in the jungle, basically. She will try and leap just to get that final vantage point of where the flag is. Oh for 2 in the rough recovery department. Ji just enough to get that to drop. She hasn't been playing poorly. She just ran out of birdies shortly after the turn, and that quelled her comeback attempt.
예, 멈춰주세요.
This is nearly tap-in territory. To send her to the 18th tee with a par. And 7 back. Just a little left to right. No problems to be found there. Suji, it was a P4 last week, the Hanwha Resort Ladies Open. She had taken the week prior off, starting to go on a downward trajectory. Just needed that week to recover, reset. Ji Hyun. Brilliant. She was tied for 21st last week. Her best finish of the season. Twice she was tied for 9th at the McCall Mona Park Open with SBS Golf, as well as the Doosan Match Play Championship of this season. Min Song narrowly staying in the fairway. The approach down to the green, a little bit of a prolonged backswing. Holds the follow through and will like that when she reaches the green. The next to approach from the group. To the opposite side of the flag from Chung Yun-ji.
저기요, 잠시만요.
Ji Hyun, it is 109. Over the scale models of the White Cliffs of Dover. That's how it feels, at least. Needed that to bite, does not. Even a 2-putt bogey would be more than okay here. Now Peng Min-ji, her final tee shot of the tournament.
샷!
Well, she tees off and is just trying to shore up a runner-up finish. Hong Ji-hyun, in all but the final details and confirmation, will be winning her first ever tournament, improving upon her tie for third last year. She is a thoroughly deserved champion and has just about 20 minutes remaining in her round before it is all made official. We'll take a quick break, and then we will wrap up 17 and Peng Min-ji's 18th and set the stage for the 72nd and final hole. Hong Ji-hyun from the fringe on 17, moving back to the inside, just shy. Tap in bogey. And she will have just one more. It will be another week where we have a first-time winner. After Han Shin's son was able to do it last week at the Hanwha Resort.
와, 나이스.
One hole at a time, and yes, I think the thoughts are starting to cross her mind. She'll know where she is, even without the scoreboard carrying staffer following the group. As we go back to 18, Moon Jung-min. That ball goes inside. We'll mark off and wait a moment before wrapping up her tournament. Now Chung Yun-ji Also a downhill putt, also trying to save a par. Looks pretty good. It is more than that. It is excellent. Stays in a tie for a top 5 finish. There's some players that grab the headlines with their flashy finishes, the flashy putts. Ji is in that category of doing everything before the green very well, and then just being even keeled with the putter. That is a pretty good way to wrap up the event for Ji Hyun. A par, unfortunately for, not a single birdie to be had on the day. Sees her drop a fair bit of positions. Down 12, in fact, from where she had started the day. A 78 in the final round, 301 for the tournament, tied for 19th. Now Hamin Song in sole possession of third, and that is where she will stay, heading to the last. She's pretty fired up about it, as she should be. So that's it, 71 holes in the books. They are done. It all comes down to this 18th. That is where we find Peso Hyun. Just misses it to the outside. A bogey for the highest round of her tournament, a 79. She will make that official momentarily. Just trying to mix up putts and approaches because this is Bang Min-ji's second. From the left side of the fairway. Gets a good bounce and roll. We've seen it a few times, but let's just make sure everything is up to speed on 18. 510 meters, the longest hole on course, over half a kilometer long, to wrap up your day, and in this case, your tournament. As the fairway opens up, 230 meters from the tee, nice and wide, and then that second shot down. Goes in a wave pattern, in and out again just before the water. You have that first sand trap and then the approach to the green. And today, in that very narrow stretch to open up this putting surface, 9 yards deep, 7 yards from the left, which is basically perfectly in line from the front of that last bunker. Hamin Song, 9 times in her career she finished as the runner-up. This would be her second bronze finish. That looks very much hooked to the left. It avoids the sand, but honestly, it wouldn't make much difference from there. She'll have to lay up with her second. Ji. One last rip with the driver. A birdie here in round 1. She lost the handle of it, but she will have more than enough to find the fairway. And last, and very much not least, Ji-yeon. It is another good tee shot. She too finds the fairway. The orange umbrellas dotting the cart path, just trying to keep the beating sun off of the supporters. Would have made it a bit more dramatic, but not as picturesque had the rain stuck around, the clouds even, in this final round. Kim Soo-ji, her final approach of the week, 195 meters. She's going to try and reach with hybrid. These kind of shots is precisely why this club was invented. And she is just going to have enough to get onto the putting surface. The driver and the wood off the deck is so difficult. You get that little extra wedge, that little extra loft to give it some characteristics to an iron, and you get the best of both. One of the best inventions of the past few decades in this sport. And she used that quite effectively there, able to reach. Our featured group, our final group, walking down to meet their balls in the fairway for shot 2 to set up their approaches. We will take one more break, and when we come back, it will be officially championship crowning time. Stick with us, we're almost there. The result might be nearly confirmed, but of course it is still special, especially when it's somebody's first time, as it is for Ji Hyun. See you on the other side of a quick break, and then back to Jade Palace. ENG down from the fairway to the front step of the green into a very, very nice position. And now Ji just needs a par. Birdie would guarantee a runner-up finish. Par would make it extra sweet. It's only 70 meters to go. Able to find 440 from her first 2 shots. Oh! Centimeters away from reaching the stick. And maybe she will just have that birdie after all. This is Ji Hyun. One last approach, a low lofted effort. Where does that stop? It stops on the fairway. Ji, 256 meters from the fairway. Just an iron shot. Well, we won't see much change from here. The odd bogey, the odd birdie might shuffle up the result slightly. Ji Hyun. Birdie would make it perfect to finish with even, but she is just 10 minutes away, if that, from being crowned champion. We'll try this whole break thing one more time and then be back to Jade Palace after a short pause.
멈춰주세요.
Well, we were down to just 6 players of the 120 that started this event. This is Kim Soo-ji hoping to finish with a birdie. Would move her at least momentarily into a tie for third, but it dives to the inside and just stays away. So when she is next to play, she will finish with a 73. It will be a round of 295, or tournament, excuse me, of 295 strokes. Surrounding this green.
한컵 반.
Everybody that was able to bear witness to this event, who has even picked up a club, is slightly more impressed, if not significantly more impressed, about this field than they were before they arrived. This is golf at its most difficult. This is a true test of merit, skill, and proficiency. And even Pungmin Ji, who is leading the K rankings, leading the money list, right up there on the points, and has dabbled on the LPGA tour, has seen some troubles with this Jade Palace this week. Only once under par. She misses out on a birdie through this event. A 70 in the first round, 2 under. With consecutive rounds of 4 over Friday and Saturday. 1 under through 17 holes today. And missing another chance to go low. Things up for him, Ginny. It's about 4 meters, 4.5 meters. That separates her and the end of her tournament, which would be 8 over, tied for 6 with Park Ji-young and Jenny Sheen. Little tap, but doesn't account enough for the left to right break. Fizzling out this penultimate group. They had teed off today. Group 19, the second to last to start their final rounds. .75 will equal her highest round of the week, the same score she had shot in round 2 on Friday. 1 over to start the tournament, then 3 over, 2 over, and 3 over again. A tie for 8th awaits her with a conversion here for par. It's a great week. It's not quite what she would have wanted when she reached the 18th tee, but she was right there with Kim Ji-young too. And a top 10 finish at a major is always a very good position to be in. If only she could have maintained some of these tee shots and putts, Peng Ji, that she was able to put together on Thursday and today on Sunday, maybe she could have challenged for the title. Her 293rd shot of the week, and depending on what Hamin Song is able to do, a runner-up finish. Kim Soo-ji tied for 4th with Chung Yoon-ji as she finishes with 295 strokes, a 73 level with her best performance of the week. And now it is open and a green light for our final group. Hamin Song, the next to play her approach again with the hybrid. It's 176 meters from the fairway down the hill to the green. A little extra torque and rotation on the follow through. Where will this land? It's short and will not be able to escape the rough.
보여? 좀 러프네.
The orange rope and the supporters that hold it. You love this tradition. Everybody walking the group in almost as if they're escorting them to the 18th green. This is Chung Yoon-ji. She will be able to reach, but only to the fairway. Will nestle into the rough. And we'll have a little chip down. She probably would have played the wedge anyways. That's what she has tended to prefer from these moments. And now Hong Ji on. Can she birdie to finish it and finish even? Probably after that. That is very well deserved. Peace, love, and championships in her future. Here they come. The announcement to the 18th green for the final time will be next. And we will soak up the atmosphere with them. Something very unique, very special about these major championships. Let's listen in. Okay, well, we will listen in after the slideshow. This is one of my favorite parts of the day, I will be honest. The beautiful panorama, the clubhouse in the background, the trees, the cliffs, and the gallery that straddles the 18th and 9th greens. Couldn't ask for a much nicer shot than that. These vantages of the bunkers really show just how perilous they can be. It's about a 3-foot perimeter, the edge from across. A lucky $2 bill. That stays in the scorecard and the notes for Peng Ji. And Hong Ji on. Just about every hole on the day and for most of this week. She'd have a good putt and would celebrate with her caddy. It'll be the biggest celebration of her life in just a few minutes from now. Song, this is her 4th, trying to set up a par to stay in sole possession of 3rd. Will dribble that through the rough very, very nicely. Chung Yoon-ji. Almost a putting level stroke to get it close. She'll have a tap-in par.
네, 마지막 챔피언조 선수들의 박수로
Now that
환영해
everyone is
주시기 바랍니다.
technically on the
투어
green,
통산
here are the
1승, 올해
announcements.
준우승 2번을 기록하면서 좋은 활약을 하고 있는 하민송 선수입니다. 네, 올 시즌 생애 첫 승을 차지했죠. 이원 체리티 오픈에서 우승을 차지한 정윤지 선수입니다. 2년 연속 한화 클래식에서 엄청난 활약을 보여주고 있는데요. 이번 대회 생애 첫 승에 도전하는 홍지원 선수입니다.
Well, Chung Yoon-ji, the 21-year-olds, it is just short of the first major of her career, and in and around the same position where she finished last week in 5th, a tie for 3rd with Hamin Song, Kim Soo-ji, and Shi, 295 for the duration of this event. It is the 4th best finish for Chung Yoon-ji in her career. Hamin Song, after withdrawing last week from the Hanwha Resort Ladies Open, it's been a tough month of August. Tied for 21st at the Jeju Sanbasu Masters, tied for 32nd at the Taeonia MBN Ladies Open. But she is back onto her podium game, tied for 3rd at the Ever College and Queen's Crown, and tied for the runner-up at the Hoban Seoul Shin Moon Women's Classic. She cannot escape, and playing to the crowd a little bit. 9 times a runner-up. And this is a short putt for the 2nd 3rd place finish of her career. And it took until 2022 to reach that mark at the Ever College and Queen's Crown. Also a tie for 3rd. This final round, a 75. 2nd highest of her week, but a fantastic event nevertheless. She finishes 7 over, tied with Kim Soo-ji and Chung Yoon-ji. 295 strokes from when she began on Thursday. But now this is what we've all been waiting for. For the record, she could theoretically take 7 strokes and still win this thing. A long time coming, no doubt. A moment that will stay with her forever. She had only collected 57 million won on the season. She is about to earn 252 more. It is just short of a birdie to finish it. That would have been even. It would have been picture perfect. 288. But a tap in to secure the win. Hong Ji-won, the champion of the Hanwha Classic 2022. The first win of her career and a major championship to underscore it. Absolutely brilliant, thoroughly deserved. Nobody was able to tame this Jade Palace quite like she was able to this week. 22 years of age, and at long last, a winner on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Congratulations. Pang Min-ji, I think, is entitled to have the last of the showers, considering she's done it 13 times in her career. It's a symbolic passing of the torch for first and runner-up. And yes, now the waterworks can begin. To do it, on a stage like this, a major championship, you can't quite describe what it means and how difficult it is. She loves Jade Palace. She will be able to play this course for as long as she lives from this point forward. But it has to feel extra sweet after the disappointment of last year, coming so close but not able to secure the win. But in 2022, the best by a mile. She will try and dry off both the shirt and the waterworks. She'll sign the scorecard, have an interview with her SBS golf crew, and then the awards will begin. To do it at this level of difficulty, this level of consistency, she went 71, 1 under in round 1, even par round 2. 2 over yesterday. It wasn't necessarily guaranteed, but today another even par round. One of just 4 to be even or lower today. And she will milk in and remember every moment of this. Our champion, thoroughly deserved.
불러줄게. 545, 535, 444. 346, 353, 345. 오, 젖었어.
Well, while they take care of the paperwork, we can go through the leaderboard. Hong Ji-hyun, of course, our champion. 1 over par. Peng Min-ji, the runner-up, +5. Chung Yoon-ji, Kim Soo-ji, Ha-min Song, +7. Park Ji-young, Jenny Sheen, +8. Im Jini in there with a tie for 8th at 9 over. Then Oh Ji Hyun, a past champion here. Tied for 10th this week. Pei So-hyun, Chung Hee-won, and Yoo Hae-ran at that score. Tied for 15th amongst those there, Lee Joo-mi and company. Im Hee-jeong, a winner of a major championship earlier in the year. The rookie Ko Chi-yu, +16 on page 3 of our leaderboard. Well, that scorecard is finalized. Here is her championship victory interview. Those interviews are my absolute favorite. The first time, you can see it is almost impossible to hold back on the emotion. It's not just one round, it is years, it is decades of perseverance and mastery of a craft to reach this point, especially at a major championship. There are so few of them. Less than 5% of the year has the distinction of being a major, and it brings in people from all over the world to try and contest for it. And it was Ji Hyun who was able to secure the championship. Speaking of people who come from all over the world to play for the title, Sheen, it was 2 birdies through the first 4 holes. That moved her into 9 over into a share for the top 5 at that point. And Park Ji-young, who had the best round of the day, and it wasn't particularly close, a 68 in the final round, courtesy of putts like this. 2 birdies in 3, 6, and 8 to move her closer to single digits over par at the turn. We will go to 7 next. Yoo So-yeon 2. We finally, at long last, had a hole-in-one at this event, and it came from the leader after 18 holes. Banks it off the left side, and watch this come in and drain. Brilliant. Exceptional, perfect, pick your adjective. It was that good. She will rightfully be disappointed that it sort of came away from her with, well, more than sort of, it definitely came unglued in round 2, a 10 over. But she was able to straighten out a little bit yesterday and finished even today, but the hole-in-one will be the memory to last a lifetime, no doubt about that. More good efforts from the tee on the par 3s. It wasn't a hole-in-one, but it set up a birdie, of which there were many for Peng Min-ji. That was her first. It came at the 6th. And then on 7, Hong Ji-yeon also on this par 3. The backspin, brilliant. And the finish, even better. Her first birdie of the day moved her to even. She would be in and out of that score throughout the round. Would finish just 1 over from it, but she would also finish with a 72 for the second time in this tournament. Let's go to 8, Peng Min-ji, a left to right effort, back across the green. And she needed that after a double bogey on 7. So perfectly even she was at the turn. 9 was next. Slightly uphill, a little right to left. Wedges it off the stick and down for that aforementioned 36. 3 birdies and 4 back-to-back at that point. And she'd have another at 10. That is how good she was playing, and she really had to work for it. Stayed out of the thick rough, but still off the fairway. Have that glance down the hill, picking up more and more and more speed. Nearly eagled this, but would finish just a few feet away on that approach. Would trade off for that putter, finalize it. Meanwhile, this was my personal shot of the day. Out of this sand trap to just a meter out. Brilliant. She didn't even know she was that close until she climbed back out of that sand trap to pick up the putter. Then on 12, Kim Soo-ji, who is at 8 over at this point. The supporters were calling for a nice birdie before they saw it fall. They knew that it was down. They knew it was great. Then Hong Ji-won. 3-meter approach, just a relatively simple pitch. At least she made it look simple. 2.5 meters when the ball would finally come to rest. Would be just her second birdie of the day, second 3 on the round. As we fast forward to 15, this was the final of the 3. On the par 3, her second birdie of these short holes once again. Took her to 1 over. She would have plenty of breathing room on 16. She would bogey, but Hamin Song would have her final birdie of the tournament, her only one of the day. We fast forward to 18 now. Hong Ji-hyun, she could have had this to finish even. Would have been perfect, but it just hangs up over the cup. Should make the long walk around and just nudge it, delaying the inevitable being the fact that she was the thoroughly deserved champion of this event. Her first ever professional win on the senior circuit, a 72 for the final round, a 289 combined stroke tournament. 20 shots less than what it took to win last year, but Jade Palace certainly took a turn for the more difficult. We're ready to go on the 18th green. That trophy will be presented momentarily. Let's listen and watch in to the awards presentation.
메이저 대회답게 파3 모든 홀에 홀이 나온 상품이 걸려 있었는데요. 자, 이번에 나왔을까요? 자, 오늘 나왔습니다. 자, 주인공이 7번 홀에서 기록을 했는데요. 홀인원을 기록한 선수에게는 한화생명에서 제공하는 2천만 원 상당의 4개 맞는 연금보험이 주어집니다. 시상에는 한화생명의 이경근 부사장님 수고해 주시겠습니다. 자, 여러분 박수로 맞이해 주시죠. 자, 그러면 그 주인공이 누군지 만나보겠습니다. 홀인원의 주인공, 바로 유서연 선수입니다. 네, 유서연 선수 루키 선수인데요. 이 홀인원의 기운을 남은 대회에서 계속 이어가기를 여러분도 함께 응원해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 유서연 선수에게 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 다음은 코스 레코드 시상입니다. 명문 골프장으로 손꼽히는 이곳 제이드 팰리스 골프클럽에서 지난해 이다현 선수, 또 2017년에는 제시카 코다와 오지현 프로가 65타 7언더파를 기록했는데요. 자, 이번에는 코스 세팅이 정말 까다로웠죠. 아쉽게도 주인공은 나오지 않았습니다. 내년을 기약해 보겠습니다. 자, 이제 오늘 승부의 주역이죠. 우승자 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 개최 11주년을 맞이한 한화클래식 2022 영광의 주인공이 입장합니다. 우승 상금 2억 5,200만 원의 주인공, 바로 홍지원 선수입니다. 여러분 큰 박수 보내주시기 바랍니다. 네, 먼저 이부영 대표이사님께서 우승 자켓과 트로피를 전달해 주시겠습니다. 네, 홍지원 선수 생애 첫 우승 자켓, 한화클래식의 주황 자켓을 입게 됐습니다. 네, 그리고 이어서 트로피 전달을 하겠습니다. 자, 메이저 대회답게 트로피가 어마어마하게 무겁다고 하는데요. 네, 감사합니다. 이어서 우승 상금 2억 5,200만 원 시상코드 전달하겠습니다. 자, 올해 또 메이저 대회 중에 가장 큰 규모 14억 원의 총 상금으로 개최된 한화클래식이죠. 생애 첫 승, 이렇게 큰 상금의 주인공이 됐습니다. 네, 축하합니다. 이어서 한국여자 프로골프 우승자 부상과 꽃다발 전달을 해주시겠습니다. 자, 상금도 많이 받았지만 또 부상으로 프레드릭 콘스탄트 시계를 증정합니다. 네, 함께 기념 촬영하겠습니다. 네, 감사합니다. 자, 그리고 여기서 끝이 아닙니다. 하나 클래식 2021 작년에 이어 올해도 아주 특별한 순서를 마련했습니다. 오늘 대회에서 우승을 차지한 홍지원 프로와 하나 클래식의 이름으로 하나그룹의 친환경 사회공헌 사업인 한화 100년의 숲과 함께할 에코트리를 전달하도록 하겠습니다. 이구영 대표이사님께서 수고해 주시겠습니다. 네, 이구영 대표이사님께서 에코트리를 전달해 주시겠습니다. 하나그룹은 2018년부터 하나리조트 양평 사업장을 입대해 270만 평 규모의 숲을 조성하는 하나 100년의 숲을 만들어가고 있는데요. 2018년부터 2027년까지 10년간 묘목을 심고 10년 이후부터 유지 관리하며 지속 가능한 울창하고 아름다운 숲을 조성하는 이 사업을 통해 하나그룹은 기후변화와 환경 문제를 공감하고 친환경 탄소 중립에 앞장서 나갈 것입니다. 자, 오늘 전달한 나무 특별히 탄소 배출 저감에 도움을 주는
Well, what a way to finish a remarkable week. The dapper orange sports coat, the gorgeous silver trophy, which is very tall, and I will add that Hong Ji-won is one of the tallest players on tour, and even it looked imposing in her hands, but so incredibly well deserved. It is a fantastic way to wrap up week number 20, and you also love to see that part of the presentation is a tree that will be planted in her honor as they plant for a sustainable tomorrow. That trophy, it has seen 19 different playings, with Hong Ji-yeon picking up the most recent, and it was lovely to see Pang Min-ji and some of the other past champions and favorites stick around to take part and witness a very special moment for Hong Ji-won. The weather today, we couldn't have asked for more. Just a fantastic atmosphere all around. And it made for the challenging terrain, the challenging conditions, made it a little bit more enjoyable, made it a little bit more sweet with how difficult the course had played. It really was the best way, in retrospect, for someone to win their first ever championship by surviving the war of attrition and creating memories that they will never, ever forget. It was the coconut water shower, the towel, the waterworks, everything that accompanies a win and what follows with the Hanwha Classic. We are now through 20 of the 34 events of the season. We won't have to wait very long to see another major back in action just 3 weeks away, September 15th. The KB Financial Group Star Championship will begin at Blackstone Icheon. Although next week we do have some more action. 2 consecutive 3-round tournaments will begin to start the month of September. Sunning Point will host next week's 11th KGE Daily Ladies Open, and then September 9th to 11th, the L Crew TV Chosun Pro Celebrity 2022. These majors, they're special for both spectator and competitor. Hong Ji-won winning this event and thoroughly deserving it. What a margin of victory it was as well. The first player to win this event over par, and the first over par winner of the season, as she defeats Pang Min-ji and the rest of the 118 players in the field by 4 strokes. Brilliant event. Thank you so much for making it a part of your week. We know for you as supporters of the LPGA Tour of Korea, it is just as special for you as it is for the competitors, and we thoroughly enjoyed having the privilege of bringing it to you. On behalf of our SBS Golf crew, everyone at the Spock team, and myself, Adam Jenkins, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Sunning Point as we sign off from the Jade Palace and wish you a wonderful rest of your weekend and start to your week and bid you a very soon return to the LPGA Tour of Korea. So long for now. Take good care. Be well. And all the best as we sign off from the Hanwha Classic 2022.